Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to really break down complex ideas into something useful, something actionable for you. Today, we're tackling a big one, something we all face, especially at work, coping with change. We've been digging into some really great material from Vishnu Rayapeddi on operational excellence and change, and wow, there's some practical stuff in there. Okay, let's unpack this, our mission today, to explore why things are always shifting, especially in competitive fields like manufacturing. We want to understand your role in it all, and crucially, how your attitude can basically make or break the outcome. We'll also look at how to really examine workflows, use measurements effectively, think about team dynamics, and how upskilling, learning new things helps everyone get better results.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here, I think, is that we all sort of know change happens, right? It's inevitable. But the work we're looking at really stresses that knowing isn't the same as coping. Lots of companies, lots of individuals still find it hard to manage effectively. It's not just some corporate buzzword. It's fundamental now, especially in manufacturing, where tiny shifts can cause huge ripples. So understanding how to adapt, maybe even proactively, well, that's the real key to actually thriving, not just surviving.
That really sets the stage well. So let's kick things off with that basic question. Why do things change so much in business? Rayapeddi's material points to these external pressures, things constantly pushing from the outside. Think about market changes. It's not just new trends, but the speed. Microtrends blow up seemingly overnight, and suddenly customer expectations are totally different. And those evolving demands, customer preferences, they can just pivot. What sold last quarter might be dead stock this quarter. Then there's competition. And it's not always who you think. It could be a startup from nowhere suddenly disrupting everything. It forces you to rethink your whole game. And of course, technology. Tech advancements aren't just small tweaks anymore. They can fundamentally change how you design, make, deliver everything. So what does all this constant external churning mean for you, whether you're on the floor or in the office?
Well, it means things are never really static, are they? It forces this perpetual need to adapt. And what's often surprising, as the source points out, isn't that these forces exist, but how often their speed or their real impact is underestimated. Like
Right.
a competitor adds a small free service. Seems minor, but it might force a massive overhaul of your own product line, way beyond just matching them. This is really where operational excellence, OpEx, comes in. It's about being agile, having solid processes to respond not just quickly, but strategically.
To stay competitive, yeah.
Exactly. To build a system that almost anticipates change, or at least handles it smoothly, instead of always being caught flat-footed.
And it's not just the outside world pushing, is it? Change comes from inside, too. The source mentions internal things like shifts in company strategy, maybe, or a new manager comes in with different ideas, or even things like new laws, new regulations, environmental standards, for example, that force you to change how you operate, sometimes really fast. So when these changes hit, especially the internal ones that maybe mess with routines, what's the usual gut reaction? How do people typically respond?
That's a key point. Because the source talks about these common human responses, often rooted in that fight or flight instinct. Faced with something new, something unknown, your body might react with adrenaline, fear, resistance. But in a work setting, particularly manufacturing, it's rarely outright fighting. It's usually more subtle. It might look like passive resistance, like suddenly everyone's too busy for the new thing, or there are endless meetings to discuss it but no action.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Or maybe sick days mysteriously increase right when training for the new process is scheduled. Recognizing these subtle signs early is vital. They can quietly kill a change initiative before it even starts. This raises an important question. If these reactions are sort of hardwired, then who's really responsible for managing them? Is it all on leadership? Or does everyone, including you, have a stake in how it plays out?
That's such a critical point. The material really emphasizes the part you play. It's not just something happening to you. You're in it. Your choices matter a lot. And this leads to that idea of consciously changing your attitudes.
Yeah.
You basically have a choice, don't you?
Yeah.
Focus on the fear, the hassle, the negative stuff, or you can actively look for the upsides, the opportunities. Because change, well, it almost always brings opportunities too. I remember a story about a factory getting new automation. Huge resistance at first, right? People felt threatened.
Understandable.
Yeah, but the ones who engaged, who learned the new system, they didn't just keep their jobs. Some became the trainers, got promoted. Their roles actually grew. So the source sort of asks, do you accept it and try to make it work? Or do you challenge it in a way that just creates roadblocks?
Yeah.
And that choice impacts the company, sure, but it really impacts your path forward too.
Absolutely. Attitude is foundational.
So, okay, mindset is huge, but how do we go from attitude to actually managing change effectively.
Hmm.
How do we show it's working or, prove its value? This is where measurement comes in. It's a really practical tool discussed in the source. Why measure? Well, the material is clear. If you've got goals, measuring change is how you see if you're actually heading towards them. It's how you drive constant improvement. It lets you see if what you're doing is having the effect you want and if it's adding value across the value chain.
Right, the value chain, that whole sequence of activities.
Exactly. Measuring helps you see which links in that chain are getting stronger or maybe weaker, so you can optimize the whole flow from start to finish.
And the source gives some really practical advice on what makes measurement effective, especially in an OpEx context. It's not just collecting numbers randomly. First, you must use the same parameters before and after the change. Otherwise, you're comparing apples and oranges. Right. It has to be consistent. Second, the tools have to be easy to use. If it's too complex, people just won't do it properly or consistently, and then the data is useless.
Makes sense.
And, crucially, it shouldn't steal time from actual production. The goal is improvement, not slowing things down. Imagine measuring a new assembly process, but the measuring itself makes the line slower. Kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
Right.
Good examples of where to measure. Workflow speed, cycle times, waste reduction, safety incidents, things you can actually quantify the impact on. It's about using data, not just feelings.
Okay, so we have the right attitude, we're measuring things properly. What's next? Well, the next step seems to be really examining the processes themselves, taking a critical look. How do we dig in and find those opportunities for getting better? The source lists key areas. Your own work habits, the team's practices, the overall workflow, the equipment, the defined processes, how data is collected, team relationships, safety, product quality. Lots to look at. Like examining workflow might mean literally mapping every single step a product takes, looking for holdups, wasted effort, delays. Or looking at data collection, not just if you collect it, but is it accurate? Is it timely? Is it actually helping you make decisions?
Exactly. And all that scrutiny, that examination, it feeds perfectly into the PDCA cycle. Plan, do, check, act.
Right, the continuous improvement loop.
Precisely. The source frames improvement using PDCA. You plan the change with clear goals. You do it, maybe on a small scale first. You check the results using those metrics we talked about. Then you act. Either you standardize it because it worked, or you adjust the plan and try again if it didn't. It makes change a learning process, not just a one-shot deal.
Yeah.
And a huge part of making this work is the team. The material asks what makes a team work, and it really boils down to a few things. Attitude, like we said, having the right skills, obviously, but also those softer things, trust, good communication, everyone pulling in the same direction.
Yeah, team chemistry matters.
It really does. And when we talk about quality changes in manufacturing, things like improving first-time quality stuff is right the first time, reducing rework and defects, controlling process variation. These aren't just abstract goals. They have direct impacts on cost, customer satisfaction, everything.
Yeah.
If we connect this back to the bigger picture, you see how each person's attention to detail, their willingness to adapt, their focus on quality, it all adds up. It directly helps the company, the customer, and makes the whole operation stronger.
That connection between the individual contribution and the overall result is so important. And that actually leads us perfectly into the final area. Personal growth, your own development in this changing world. The source brings up skill gaps.
Yeah.
And these aren't just like small problems. They can make your job genuinely difficult, frustrating, even unsafe sometimes. And maybe more importantly, they can stop you from moving forward in your career, keep you stuck. But here's where it gets really interesting. The material highlights how being proactive, how upskilling improves outcomes. It's about looking ahead, figuring out what skills will be needed, and learning them before it becomes a crisis. It's seeing change as a chance to grow, not just a threat.
Absolutely. Upskilling isn't just about doing today's job better. It's directly tied to career planning, to your own long-term resilience. When you learn new skills, maybe it's software, maybe it's automation basics, maybe a new quality technique, you seriously increase your chances of, well, improving your life through better roles, more opportunities, maybe better pay. Think about someone on a production line who learns data analysis. They might shift into process optimization, using the very changes that could have made their old role obsolete.
Turning a threat into an opportunity.
Exactly. The source really hammers home that personal change is just part of life and part of work. It's going to happen. Embracing upskilling is about recognizing that and actively shaping your future within it instead of just letting it happen to you. It's about taking control of your own stability.
That's a powerful way to look at it. So summing up this deep dive on coping with change, what have we really unpacked? We've seen change is constant, driven by forces both outside and inside. Proactive companies embrace this through things like OpEx. We learn that measuring change smartly is key to improvement and proving value. And maybe the biggest takeaway, your individual attitude, whether you resist or engage, dramatically impacts not just the company's success, but your own success and growth too. It really shows the value of understanding why change happens, preparing for it, and actively participating in making it work.
Indeed. It's a reminder that while change itself might be out of our control sometimes, our response is definitely not. The material isn't just about the how-to of change, it's about the mindset. So what does this all mean for you navigating these shifts? Here's a thought to take away. Reflect on one thing we talked about today. Maybe an external driver, like a technology you should learn about. Or an internal reaction, perhaps some resistance you felt or seen, or a practical tool, like measurement. Think about how you could apply that specific insight to a change you're going through right now, or one you see coming down the line at work or even elsewhere. How could you approach it differently, more proactively, with more personal agency?
That's a perfect challenge, a great way to put these ideas into practice. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Remember, embracing change and finding ways to shape it positively isn't just good for business. It's good for building your own resilience and growth. Until next time, keep learning, keep adapting, and keep thriving in this ever-evolving world.